Hello, my name is Manny Kagan. I'm Mortgage Master, founder of Mortgage Solutions Academy. And I have a privilege because I have a special guest. His name is Andy Levine. We've known each other for a few years, but we became friends. And therefore, it's easier to do business with friends. Now, I invited Andy to come here. Actually, we just had lunch to talk about how what he is doing in its architecture is helping real estate agents to do what they do, which is what? Selling real estate? That's how it's called?
Buying, selling.
Yes. I have my personal experience with architects. Many years ago, we bought small house, and it was in Israel, so it was a different story. But I wanted to design it. I was engineer, so I knew how to design, of course, right? I built factories. I knew how to put things together. So I started designing it. And I had a very good friend. He was a neighbor. His name was Norman. And Norman, I would come to Norman with my design, and he says, very good, very good. Everything what I've done, he'll say, very good. And then one day, my wife says, you know what? Stop saving money. Just give Norman to design our house. She was right. After you've seen all my designs, design beautiful house, completely different from my design. And then I learned, yes. And he said something like, "Why doctors? You cannot cure yourself as a doctor, right? Why everyone thinks that they can be architect? Can they?" So Andy is involved in many facets of architecture. He builds, well, designs actually different projects, and he will mention whatever he is doing. But I specifically asked him to talk about ADUs. Okay?
Okay.
So Andy, tell us about why people need architect.
Well, ADUs are complicated, but they're also a wonderful opportunity to make money.
What's ADUs?
ADU stands for Accessory Dwelling Unit. And if a project is zoned for a certain number of units, and that's what you're allowed, that's the maximum. Except you can get an exemption from the maximum by doing extra units if you satisfy certain rules and requirements. Not only San Francisco, but all of California has a housing crisis, a housing shortage, and they've made a lot of exemptions to the rules to allow converting. For example, in San Francisco, did you know you don't need parking anywhere in San Francisco?
Really
You can
interesting.
convert any parking space. You don't need car parking. You must have bicycle parking, which is very small. But the rest of the storage on the ground floor, the rest of the car parking space, you can convert into ADUs. We're doing quite a bit. So instead of renting for parking, you rent it for a unit, and you make a lot. The owner can make much more money.
Interesting. This is what was illegal granny units or in-law units.
That's correct.
Yeah, when they were, well, still do. When appraisers go there, if it's illegal, if it's not ADU, if it's built without a permit, then it's considered storage only. No, it doesn't count in the count of the square footage. This
Right.
happened in our house.
Mhm.
Our house has a garage and has upstairs. Upstairs about 2,600 square foot. Downstairs, which is developed without, well, maybe there were some permits, but not as a ADU. I have huge space and all utilized. But when recently a property was appraised for refinance purpose, it wasn't counted. So
Mm.
I have only 2,600 instead of 3,600, which will change the price of the house, of course.
That's right.
So now you can convert these unpermitted units into permitted.
That's correct.
Okay.
And you need to satisfy the. You can get exemptions from the planning, but you must satisfy the safety for the fire, for exiting, for light, ventilation, and energy for mechanical. So that's what gets complicated is satisfying the rules, finding ways to get more income for the building owner, and making it a habitable, really nice place to live.
I know some clients who actually moved into their in-laws or ADUs and rented upstairs.
That's correct.
So, but those buildings, are they considered two-unit buildings?
If it's a single family
Yes.
house and you have another unit, then it's a two-unit building.
Hold on.
And
Even ADU is considered as a second unit?
That's correct. And you need to change the homeowner's insurance, which is easy. Don't add any, it doesn't add any cost, but you need to have it on your title.
So you're giving me something which I never heard before, and I'll have to check it. So ADU constitutes a second unit.
That's correct.
So it's
You
not.
cannot sell it as a condo separately, but you can rent it. It is another unit on the property. And so again, if your property is, if you have a 12 unit apartment building and that's all you're allowed to have on the zoning by the planning, you can add 2, 3 units. And now it's a 15 unit building, which is legal.
Yeah.
But you can't sell them as separate condos, but you can rent them. Or one of the owners would have their own unit uh, plus the rental unit. It's all about getting more apartments for rent, which is what
I
the city
understand
wants.
this part, but you just present to be new challenge because when we finance single family house. Even it has this illegal in-law, it's still single family house. But what you're telling me, and I'm going to check it, if you convert it into ADU, you're
Mhm.
adding ADU, it becomes 2 units. 2 units are financed differently.
Mhm.
You have to, it's an adjustment in pricing.
Mhm.
So it's interesting. I had no idea about this. Thank you.
Mhm.
Now, how much approximately a person needs to spend on the converting? Because it's a stupid question, I know. But can the converted space into the, what's the per square footage or what's the price?
Okay, so I can't do, well, it would take a little bit for me to figure per
Of
square
course,
footage,
yeah.
but we do a lot of studios or one bedrooms. But we also have a property where we're doing a studio, we're adding in the ground floor where they have a whole lot of garages, we're converting them to one is a studio, one is a one bedroom, one is a two bedroom. So,
Wow.
but it's around between 100, $150,000.
Per square foot.
No, $150,000 for the, let's say,
The whole project?
500 square foot place. I can't do the math, but
Is it right? Well, then it's reasonable. If I need to spend only $100,000, I might consider to do it in my house too.
maybe
Yeah.
100, 150. I said
Okay,
you heard
150.
100. I said
150 is different story.
yeah, right. But
No.
um, and again, I'm an architect, but I would definitely introduce you to a contractor. You'll
Yeah.
have a much, so we get the team together
Yeah.
to you maybe have some structural engineering work.
Yes.
Maybe have a mechanical engineer.
Yeah. In other
But
words,
but
it
the
becomes.
contractor would help you understand the cost.
Yes, but when contractors, sometimes contractors come and says, I can design myself
Mhm.
without using architectural service."
Right.
You're laughing.
I say good luck.
Good luck. Yes.
Yeah, it takes in San Francisco anyway. It takes a year to get a permit,
Yeah.
and that's pushing. That's
Yeah.
not just letting it sit. So it's complicated to satisfy the exiting for the state fire marshal requirements. So yeah, and in terms of cost, it depends. Every project's a little different. How to
Yes.
get in, how to get out, how to have open space for which is required, have enough light and ventilation, and headroom. Headroom is a critical problem. Some projects you have to have a minimum of 7'6" ceiling height. If you
Yeah.
don't, then you have to lower the foundation. Then it's
Yes.
very much more expensive,
Yes. Of
but it's
course.
required. You cannot.
Yeah.
You can't compromise on that.
Recently, I hear a story about the client who decided to use contractor
Mhm.
to redesign. Remove. He decided to remove the wall. He didn't realize it was carrying wall.
Mhm.
So when he did it, almost his house is almost collapsed. So
Well,
I think it's good to use architect.
yeah, and Manny, I tell people if you know exactly what you want, you don't need an architect. A contractor can draw it,
Yeah,
or an engineer could draw it.
yeah,
Sorry, no offense,
yeah. Of
engineers.
course, yeah,
But if you want to explore what your options are, that's what
yeah,
the architect is really great at.
yeah.
Putting the team together, working through all of the steps, removing the surprises, the bad surprises,
But
right?
then it comes to my part, financing. There is a ways to finance any project, including ADUs. So what I want to ask you next time, when you think about how to improve your project, how to add whatever you want to add, consult an architect. And Andy is excellent architect. You'll see his phone number on the bottom. But meantime, I'm going to help you. I promise. Thank you.